Begin in table with your hands under your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. Grounding your hands down into the mat. And for a little warm-up, inhale, lift your collarbones and your sit bones. Exhale, round your back towards the ceiling for cat-cow. A nice range of motion through your spine, your hips, and your shoulders as you move with your breath. And come back to center and kind of wiggle it out to find your center. Now extend your right leg behind you, toes tucked under, and lean back into that calf stretch. Leg active all the way through the heel, and then press back until you feel that stretch in the calf and even coming up the back of your leg into your hip. And then you're going to lift your right leg and plant your toes on the outside of your left leg. And look over your left shoulder at your foot and feel that stretch coming up the side from the outside of the hip into the side body. Keep your hips square to the mat. Right toes pointing forward. Come back to center. Knee comes back to the floor. Second side, extend your left leg behind you. Toes tucked under. Reach back into your calf stretch. Lift your leg. Left foot comes to the outside of the right leg, stretching the left side body. Toes point forward, looking back over your right shoulder. And breathe into your side body, including that side hip. Lift the leg and come back to center. Always finding your center before moving on. Inhale, lift your collarbones and sit bones. Exhale, sit back into child's pose. Moving through Chakravakasana. Inhale, lift your hips, lift your chest, lift your elbows. Exhale, elbows to the floor, chest to thighs, hips to heels. Moving with your breath through that motion. Back to center. Step your right leg forward and bring your blocks in. We're going to move back and forth between a low lunge and a half split. So finding your low lunge, hips pointing forward. And on your exhale, shift your hips back into that half split. Inhale, rock forward into the low lunge, moving with your breath. Make sure as your hips come back that then you bring the foot up to get a better stretch up the back of your leg. And come back into the low lunge and feel the stretch through the front of your left hip here. Upper body nice and tall, neck and shoulders tall and open. A few deep breaths as your hips settle in. One more time, shift your hips back. You can bring your blocks back, stretching through the back of the leg. And you can feel where you need the stretch more. Point and flex your toe, You can also shift your hips from side to side, get a little extra stretch on the inner hamstring and outer hamstring muscles. Come back to the front lunge, move your blocks out of the way. Coming up onto your knee, and if comfortable, raise your arms overhead. And back down to the floor, step back to table pose. And don't just move straight onto the second side, take your moment to find your center again. Left leg steps forward, blocks come in, and finding your low lunge. Exhale, shift your hips back. Inhale, moving back into the low lunge. Moving with your breath just a couple more times. Toe comes off the floor as the hips shift back. And take a moment to sit in that low lunge, feeling the stretch in the front of your right hip. Hips shift back, stretching your hamstring, starting with pointing and flexing your toe. And bringing your hips side to side, opening the soft tissue through the back leg, which also continues up through the back side of your body. So this is a great stretch not only for your legs, but also that soft tissue that runs all the way up your back. Inhale, forward into the low lunge, come up to your knee. Inhale, raise your arms overhead. Exhale, bringing your arms down to the floor, coming back into table pose. One more inhale, collarbones and sit bones lifting. Exhale, tuck your toes under and press back into downward facing dog. And come into a plank to check your stance. For a good downward dog, you should be able to go straight from plank and then pressing back with your hips. Sit bones high, chest sinks low, underarms lifted. Working your heels towards the floor. It's okay if they don't come all the way to the floor. They might not every day. And take baby steps to bring your feet towards your hands. You're going to feel that in your legs a little bit. And before we come up, I want to start in a crouched position. So let your back body stretch a moment here. And bring your hands flat on the floor in front of your feet. And we're going to come up by bringing our sit bones up. And this will give a good stretch to the back of your legs. If you can't straighten your legs all the way, that's okay. Just keep your hands flat, slowly bringing your sit bones up to stretch your hamstrings. If you can straighten your legs all the way, hands still on the floor, you can also reach back and grab your legs, bringing your torso closer to your thighs to get a better stretch. Try and keep your back straight, your head and neck relaxed. We don't want to create excess shoulder tension, just trying to get a better leg stretch. And inhale, rise all the way up to standing. Exhale, release your arms by your side. Now we'll come into a little quad stretch. So reach back and grab your right foot, and really stabilizing on your left foot. It's okay to have something to hold on to for a little balance. And mostly the alignment is important here. You want your right knee pointing straight down towards the floor, so it's in line with your left thigh. Then widen your hip bones and tuck your tailbone under to bring your pelvis into alignment. Let go of your foot and bring your foot back to the floor and find your balance before moving to the second side. Then reaching back to grab your foot. If you do have trouble balancing standing on one foot, it actually helps to bring your hand to your stomach and even put a finger in your belly button, as odd as that sounds. It gives your body an outward sense of your center and helps you to find your center of gravity. So holding your left foot, again, make sure that your knee is pointing straight down, left thigh in line with the right. Standing tall, sit bones come wide, tailbone tucks under just slightly. Release your left leg to the floor. Take a second to move the blanket if you had one, and come into a straddle, feet parallel to each other. Inhale, lift your arms to a T, little baby back bend. Hands come to the back of your thighs as you fold forward, and that'll help keep your back straight through that forward fold. And releasing towards the floor. For a little deeper stretch, you can reach back between your legs and bring your body through and feel how that changes the stretch in your back and your hips. We're going to walk our hands to the right leg, just to the outside of the right leg, brings a little twist and stretch to the spine. Keeping your spine long. Your shoulders are still parallel to your hips. Walking back to center, a little extra stretch through the middle before walking our hands over to the left. Hands come to the outside of the left leg if comfortable for you. And your left hand will be a little higher up on your leg. Nice deep breaths. And walk your hands back to center. Jump your feet together. We'll do that same motion just from Uttanasana. So again, if you can, hugging your legs, bringing your torso as close to your thighs as possible. Bring your left hand to the outside of your right leg. Right hand actually comes a little higher up to keep the shoulders in alignment. With the legs together, this is certainly more of a twist. Releasing back to center and coming over to the second side. Deep breaths, breathing into that twist. And release back to center. Inhale, halfway lift to a flat back. Exhale, release to the floor. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, release your arms, hands to heart center. And take a moment to just feel that pose throughout your body. We'll close out today with a few sun salutations. This is Sun Salute A. So this will all be moving with your breath. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift to a flat back. Exhale, step back to downward facing dog. Inhale, forward into a plank. Exhale, chaturanga all the way to the floor. Inhale, up to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, toes tuck under, press back to downward facing dog pose and hold. Feet step forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release to the floor. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands back to heart center. Again, inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift to a flat back. Exhale, press back into downward facing dog pose. Inhale, come forward to your plank. Exhale, chaturanga all the way down to the floor. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale, toes tuck under. Just press back into downward dog. And hold for a couple of breaths. Exhale, feet baby step forward towards your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise all the way up. Exhale, hands come to heart center. One more time, and we'll hold the downward dog a little extra long on the last one. So inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, step back into downward facing dog pose. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, chaturanga down towards the floor, and inhale into upward facing dog. Exhale, press back to downward facing dog and hold. Nice deep breaths, really feeling that stretch. And on your exhale, hold out your breath as your feet step forward this time. Then when you're ready, inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise all the way up. Exhale, release your hands to heart center. Take a second to thank your body for all the wonderful things that it can do for you. Take a deep breath and carry on.